Good morning, sports fans from all around the world. From Cape Cod to Cancun, from Tampa to Taipei, from Vegas to the Vatican. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, for East Coast Sports Investors Breakfast Bankroll, where today we will break down last night's MLB action, go over the overnights, today's report, and try to get you on the right side of some MLB where the favorites they just win. They just win. But without further ado, our co-host from Tampa himself, the one and only Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, what is up?
Hey, good morning, Jeff. And what is this? Welcome to Favorites in August, right?
First apologies to everyone that jumped on 5 minutes ago. Modern day technology, all set to roll and crash. And when it comes to this stuff, I am not the sharpest knife in the kitchen, but we persevered. We're here and we're ready to roll. I'm just going to spit some venom right now. Last night from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, I could have managed the first five in Oakland better than what was going on. So in a nutshell, yes, we talked about it on the show yesterday. Yes, our VIPs. Yes, myself was on Oakland first five minus 136. So they jump out to a 2-0 lead. Montas cruises the first two innings. Third inning, single, 2-1. Okay. Next inning, Oakland strands more runners on base. White Sox, single, 2-2. Now I have preached about first five plays, getting guys on base and getting to that top of the order for the third time. Okay? If you look at this White Sox lineup, now Luis Roberts is back. They got him back batting in the back end right now. So you add a Goodwin with a Roberts with a Tim Anderson leading off. I mean, that's speed, more speed. And so you're looking at these infield hits, a bleeder to the outfield. The guy scores standing up from second. So anyways, my point here is this, and it's on my timeline at EC Sports Invest if someone wants to go back to last night. Montas goes to the bottom of the fifth, and I already said this is not going to end well. Top of the order, already has 87 pitches. He's been leaking the last two innings. In modern day baseball today, the geeks, the nerds, he doesn't start that inning because you know what's going to happen. First two guys get on, Abreu gets strikes out, and then the bleeder, 3-2, thanks for playing, and they eventually lose the game anyways. Thoughts about last night?
Well, it's interesting. You can go look at the win probabilities for these teams and just sort of illustrate what you're talking about. So in the top of the second inning, that's when the A's scored. So they were a 78% chance to win the game after they scored those couple of runs. And then in the bottom of the second inning, it was still the same score. And then in the third inning, you got the run that was scored by the White Sox. So the White Sox, then that makes it 54% chance that Oakland's going to win the game, even through the third inning. So then Oakland gets a couple of guys on base, and they don't score. But as those guys are on base, the win percentage goes up to 63% for Oakland. And then in the bottom of the fourth inning, obviously, then scores the next one for the White Sox. But even then, even when they've scored, then the A's have a 53% chance to win the game going into the top of the fifth inning. And then they didn't do much in the fifth inning, and then all of a sudden things started to change a little bit, and then the White Sox started to take over the win probability. So ultimately, you sit here and you think, how does these things get mismanaged and what happens and where they go? Because ultimately you had the opportunity and you were ahead in the game, and all we needed him to do was be there through 5 innings. This win probability factors and numbers are all based on 9 innings. So as we looked at it, if you're going to wager your money and you're going to wager it right, then you got a 2-run lead. You got the 78 to win percentage or whatever it was, and 60 win percentage and 50 win percentage. You're still going to win this game through 5 innings. So if you were going to make your bet, you were going to bet on the winning opportunity side, not the losing opportunity side. So in how do you grade these plays? Well, you grade them out to say, hey, we did what we were supposed to do. We put our money in where they're supposed to be, and the baseball gods didn't happen. And maybe it was Bob Melvin drinking too much coffee that day. I don't know.
And on my timeline, I says he's either at the bear line right now or he's sleeping in the dugout, because as this game was progressing, like I said, mowing them down the first 2 innings, then hit. Okay, they score the 1 run. Then hit. They score the 2nd run in the 4th. You could see this coming. And already at 85, 87 pitches going into the 5th with the top of the order up for the 3rd time, the thought process must have been, okay, let's see if we can get him. He couldn't even get the win because Oakland didn't score in the 5th, so that's out. Maybe we can get him up to 100 pitches. He gets the first 2 guys out, gets the first 2 guys get on. Abreu strikes out, thank God. So I'm like, okay, we still got a chance. But again, poorly mismanaged. Again, teams that are looking to win. Again, bullpen length, Bridges. I don't have that in front of me, but I do know what I did and we did and you did. I'll use the phrase that we often use, okay? Right side, wrong result, okay? We were on the right side there. It was just the wrong result. And I'll chalk that up to Bob Melvin, not on my Christmas card list, but it is what it is. Today's a new day. I just want to tell everyone here watching and listening, last 13 days in the MLB, favorites 124 and 50. That's not a misprint. 124 and 50. Last night, favorites 7-3, overs 5-5. The Dogs that cash. White Sox plus 105, Rockies plus 115, Royals plus 139. We talk about Mondays. We talk about travel days. We talk about pancake games, teams that are making up a game and then just skipping Dodge and then heading out to the new cities. Nothing shocked me last night. The Cubs are just, what? At this point, I would be bringing up their single, double, and triple A team. Let the vets sit, see what we got. It's embarrassing what's going on in Chicago. I feel for those guys. And there's some other teams as well. It looks like they're not even playing out this season. I mean, they're just sleepwalking. And it's the pitching. It's the pitching. And how bad is pitching? How bad do people need arms? The Padres signed Arrieta, and he's going to start Wednesday in Coors Field.
Good luck with that, right? We talked about Colorado yesterday. We talked about what they're like at home, and they're playing the Padres. And I'm going to be honest, Jeff, the Padres need to start. They need to start doing something because Tatis is something else. That guy is just something else. But you if you can't beat Colorado, you're not going to be able to make the playoffs. So it's kind of one of these weird things that these teams play so well at home and they do so poorly on the road. And Colorado is one of those teams. Now, that's not always been the case. You always think Colorado has a home field edge because they're playing in the light air and their guys know what to do. But it hasn't always been that way. They for the last couple of years, they've had some trouble playing at home, and they were better on the road. And I think, in the way I look at it, if you look at their starting staff, it's not a bad staff, but all of them are ground ball guys. They throw the ball so that the opponents hit the ball on the ground. And that's a big factor when you're playing in Colorado. You don't want balls up in the air because that thin air, that ball travels well. So and they're still running that same problem today. I don't know who's pitching for San Diego today. I think it's supposed to be Darvish, but he might not pitch. And then they got to play Marquez today. So if Marquez is on and you got the bad Darvish out there, which is what you've been getting, they're not necessarily going to win today. And I don't know who's going to. I did see a line. And I got
Strom posted right now.
Strom, okay. That makes sense. I mean, it's a bullpen game, so now you're looking at the Rockies probably as a favorite. So I mean, holy crap, the Rockies are going to be a favorite over the Padres. Oh my God.
It's crazy. My team, my Sox, got a doubleheader today. Montgomery versus Hauk. Got Montgomery and the Yankees opened up -115, and then the night game, Evaldi versus Gill. Some flip flop in there. We really used to do very well in doubleheaders. The philosophy was simple: don't play the first game, and whoever loses the first game, bet them in the second game. And it was coming in at a 58, 60+% clip. Nowadays, with these 7 innings, it's all hands on deck. Anything can happen. And this is a huge, huge 2 games here for the Yankees and for the Red Sox as well. And we talked about why didn't they hold Cole back, but they got the win against the Angels last night. Maybe they're comfortable with Gill. They bring Montgomery back. They got 2 guys back today from COVID, Montgomery and someone else. Yes, Sanchez. And so they're locked and loaded, but I'm going to do my best here to bring up today's board, talk about some games that already overnight made some big power moves, and we'll share some insight that we see here for the viewers here and anyone that cares to listen and maybe try to cash a ticket or two. Overnight, saw Cincinnati with Gutierrez open up at 145. He's currently at 170 against Hendricks. Again, which Cubs team's going to show up? I mean, they're giving up double digits, it seems like 4 or 5 times a week. So that got steamed to 170. Sorry, a flip-flop here. Alcantara with Miami opened up as it was basically a pick'em game, but we're seeing now Atlanta with no -116 and 119 at South Point, even a 125 on DraftKings. What else? A little steam on Burns in Milwaukee versus Wainwright in St. Louis. Opened at 140. I'm seeing 155s out there. There was one other game I wanted to bring up. Tampa Bay with Rasmussen versus Means opened at 190. They said no. So they're showing the public 232 with Rasmussen. Interesting here, Seattle with Anderson opened at 160 at Texas versus Hearn. Seen some reverse line movement, some sharper, heavier money on Texas when that line is dropped now to 142. It's a little steam on Minnesota and Ober today. Opened at 140 versus Cleveland and Morgan. I'm seeing 157s, 158s at Westgate. And Houston and Valdez versus Kansas City and Lynch. Houston opened at 195. It's dropped to 178. Thoughts about anything that I brought up from the overnight to where it was actually released to the public?
Well, I'm thinking a lot about that Cubs and Reds game to be honest, and I don't like the Cubs. I don't like what they're throwing out there, but I don't like Gutierrez at all, and I don't think Gutierrez ought to be steamed up to -175 against any team. So let alone Hendricks, who's the best pitcher that the Cubs have. Hendricks is off of his worst start of the season last time out, and I don't imagine he's going to have another worse start of the season. So I don't want to mess with the bullpen. I don't want to mess with all that stuff, but I do like the matchup here where you have similar pitchers where both of the guys are going to induce contact. And you've got Hendricks at the peak when he's in doing those things in the right way. If you can stomach it, I mean, I don't know if you can or not, but if you can stomach it, you can actually get Hendricks at I think it's +1.5 -130 or something like that. So I think he's going to be competitive today, and I think he's going to pitch pretty well. Even in the first 5 innings, he's a +142. So I kind of like the idea that the Cubs are going to hang in there for a little while against the Reds. And I do think that Hendricks is in one of those spots. The question is going to be is whether or not if you're a Reds better, the bullpen for Cincinnati is ranked 23rd this over the last 2 weeks. So, you can lose it in the end too. So that plus 1.5 is not a bad option with the Cubs in that particular spot. So I understand the steam that's coming in because, everybody wants to steamroll against the team that's on losing streaks. And I get that. And that's what you should do. But I think this one sets up to be a little bit different matchup for the Cubs. The other one that you had talked about is Yanoa and Alcantara. And this is the first start for Yanoa since May. Back in May, he was a pretty good pitcher for Atlanta. He was the only one really going really well for them when they had all their other injuries and different things that was going on. And then if you remember what happened, he got into the dugout or whatever, and he punched the bench or he punched the dugout wall, and he broke his knuckle. So now he makes his first start today. So I'm going to guess he's a 4 to 5 inning type pitcher. And now you're facing Alcantara, who Alcantara is not a bad pitcher at all. He's really good, especially in the beginning of the season. He's kind of dropped off a little bit here lately, but he's pitched really good against the Braves, and I would expect this to be one of those type of spots where this is probably a pretty good spot for Miami. One of my favorite things today that I liked, and I played it early. I haven't really played much else, but it's the Milwaukee team total. I played Milwaukee over 3.5, and when I played it, it was minus 132. And I like that team total a lot. I wanted to get in on against Wainwright today. And if you remember right, his very last time out, it's probably the best he's pitched in, 2 years. He threw, it wasn't a no-hitter, but I mean, it was a complete game. You only gave up 1 hit or something like that, struck out 10 guys. He's he's 50 years old. So I don't think that he's going to have that same reasonable success today against Milwaukee. And Milwaukee is in the top 3 in offense. So I like the idea here that even if they only get a couple of runs off of Wainwright, they got an opportunity to get a couple more off the bullpen. And Milwaukee's been rolling. So I'm way good with that. And that was one of the ones that I focused out on. And I'm not opposed to Oakland in the first 5 today with what's the guy's name's pitching Bassett against Lopez. Lopez pitched good the last time out, but Lopez is one of those guys that he walks everybody. He's got a 13% walk rate. So, you got Oakland, you're putting guys on base. And again, you got to get them in, but I don't want to mess with the bullpen. They showed their strength yesterday, putting in Kopech and then the lefty and then the righty at the end. And boy, they were really good. So I'm okay with Bassett. I think he was minus 117 the last time I looked at him.
He's right around 122, 121 right now. And it's funny because I think last week we talked about, again, it was Oakland. We had Oakland on a team total on Friday night, and our show on Saturday talked about don't be afraid to go back. And we went back with Oakland, and they put up, a touchdown and a field goal. And I think they had it by the 3rd inning. And again, last night, Oakland was as high as 140 first 5 money line. It got down to about 136 when we had bought it. And again, today they are favored. And I have talked about this White Sox team the same as you. They're going to be that when that back end is clicking. Now, Kimball's had some hiccups since coming over, and Hendricks has had some hiccups. Okay. But when you're wheeling out Kopech, Hendricks, Kimbrel, 7, 8, 9, you're not going to score very often in those 3 innings. So you better do your damage damn early. Or, listen, the playoffs are going to be so phenomenal. Okay, I was on a show in L.A. yesterday, and they're talking about their Dodgers, and I'm on there weekly every Monday, okay? And so since April, May, June, it's not if, it's when, quote unquote, the Dodgers are going to pass the Giants. Then it's July. Then it's August. And then finally the co-host looked at me and says, It's not going to happen, is it? I said, no, it's not going to happen. You're not catching them. Well, why not? I said, chemistry, young guys, veterans, they just have that mix this year. And so you're going to get stuck in that wild card game where anything can happen. You can hand the ball to Max and he could give you 7, 8 scoreless innings. And then you go to Gasterald or you go to Jansen, and how you feeling then in the 0-0, 1-1 game? So it's baseball. These things are shaping up. The back ends are getting set up, and we're in for a hell of a ride here, Scotty.
Yeah, I saw there's some publications out there, and there's a lot of projections and some different things, and I wanted to share this with you because I thought it was kind of interesting. Yesterday, I saw that Baseball Reference put out their projected odds of who's going to make the playoffs, and their numbers are really, it's their numbers is their numbers. It's just I thought they were kind of weird. So they have the Braves of winning the AL or the National League East, followed by the Phillies. And then they have the Brewers and then the Reds. And then they have the Giants and Dodgers tied. And they have the Padres. But what's interesting is, and we've always said this all along, you got the whoever wins the West, the other two are in, right? Well, according to their numbers, they have the Reds at a 47% postseason chance and the Padres at a 44% chance. So there you go. So there's a little bit of excitement in that the Reds can knock them out. And I thought it was kind of interesting that they have the Braves at a 64% chance to win, and the Phillies at 38, and the Mets at only 3. So they got the Mets like down and out, right? But if you just switch this to another segment, right? We'll go to Baseball Prospectus now. These are the ones that do the PECOTA ratings. So in the PECOTA ratings, in the National League, they've got Philadelphia winning. Then they have the Mets, and then they got Atlanta. So it's totally reversed almost. And I'm like, holy crap, it's totally different. And then obviously Milwaukee, Cincinnati, and then they've got the Dodgers at 99 wins and the Giants at 96 wins. So they got the Dodgers actually surpassing the Giants. And then they got the Padres at 90 wins. They got the Padres at 75% chance to get in the playoffs. The Giants at 80% chance to get into playoffs. And then the Reds at only 19. So they got the Reds way out of it. So here's another one that's saying, hey, the Reds don't have a chance. And then the first one we just looked at said the Reds are in and the Padres have to fight. So it's really interesting. And then in the American League East, this one has it has the Rays to win 95 games. It has the Yankees to win 92 games, the Red Sox to win 91 games, and then it has the Oakland A's to win 91 games. So it has actually the Yankees and the A's in the wild card game, and the Red Sox are out. So I'm sitting here and I'm going, holy crap, there's all kinds of stuff that can happen in these things. And then the last one, Jeff, if you look at what Fangraph says, and that's the one I usually go by, Fangraph says that the Rays are in, says the Red Sox are in, and then it's the Yankees are 56% chance to get in, and the A's are 45% chance to get in. So they're saying the A's are out. So that's kind of interesting. And then they've got the Braves to win, the Phillies to come in line, and then between the Padres and the Reds, it's 47% for the Padres and 43% for the Reds. And in my opinion, those numbers are a little bit more reflective of truly probably what will happen or what could happen, as opposed to some of those other ones that are sort of out there that are crazy right now with some of these predictions and numbers. So it could be a really fun race, and I hope it is.
I think it's going to be, and again, unfortunately, for some, not us, but for, I'll say even most, it's not going to be watched because football's on, and and everyone is just so focused on the NFL, the college football. And you got your Monday game, you got your Thursday game, you got 100 games on Saturday, you got the NFL on Sunday, and rinse, repeat, start over. And meanwhile, each day, each game, week to week, as it gets closer to October, these races are just tightening up, and it's going to be an amazing battle. Can't wait, really can't wait. You're going to be getting some series where we will dive in, especially in September, where you're going to actually get some nice series prices on teams that need to win the series. Gain that game, and you might find some value, and you might have an opportunity to actually go in and double down, hedge, or guaranteed profit. But that's something that we look for. We take the laziness out. We'll do all the work for you, and we'll hope to carry it on to you guys. So, Scotty, closing thoughts.
Yeah, that's the next level of this, right? The next level of this is to put yourself in positions to enjoy the games, but to enjoy them profitably. And there's lots of different ways to skin the cat. And when the series prices come out, and so there's some different things that interjects some different levels of what you can and can't do. There's no reason to go and play a minus 200 per starting pitcher for 3 straight series. But if you're getting them at minus 200 for the whole series, that's the whole different thing. You just bet at one time, and all you got to do is win 2 out of 3 or whatever. So you can even lose and still cover that number. Or what's kind of fun is if you're in a matchup in a series where the wild card team had to use their ace pitcher, and now they got to put their second best pitcher, and they're going to place a team that is in a spot where they don't have a great starting pitcher or whatever, and the line is showing as such a value to the series price for the home team or the team that's the favorite. A lot of times, all you have to do is get that home team to lose the first one, and then come in on the home team or whatever on the second one, because they're going to win anyway. So get in on them, and we can look at all those different strategies and angles and different things to make it kind of fun. And then each game you can hedge to, and all kinds of different ways to make sure your money's in there right, and also to have a good time. And that's just another level of betting. And again, that just goes back to all we've been saying all the time. You have to understand the market, number one. You have to understand how to handicap the games, and you have to know how to bet. And they're all 3 individually different things. But when they all come together at the end, they make great value opportunities for you. You just have to learn how to do it.
Without a doubt, like I said, we'll take the L out of laziness and take the L out of your pocket, hopefully, and turn it into a W. So with that said, today, again, keep an eye on our timelines. We'll be throwing out nuggets throughout the day. If you're not following us, please follow us on Twitter at EC Sports Invest. And again, you can follow Scotty at Webby20MLB. Take 2 seconds to go over to YouTube, East Coast Sports Investors, subscribe there, and also on Twitch at East Coast Sports Investors. This fall, we're hoping to be live streaming and breaking down the games, the half times, when to get in, when to get out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is where the game's going. And so if we can help you put more money in your pocket and less into your books or at the casino's pocket, we've done our job. So always remember this: when wagering, always wager with your head, not your heart. If you got a problem, just pick up the phone. Or reach out to someone. There's help available. And today, always, best of luck. Have a blessed day. Let's cash some tickets, and we will see you tomorrow.